Welcome back to Digging for End Time Truths. I am Mark Krishik, your host, and we are going to dig in to the book of Revelation, and I am going to kind of give an intro today just to get it started, just to let you know that this series is coming. It's a new series that I am doing. I've done it before, but we are going to delve into it a little deeper this time. So we are going to just start by an overview. Obviously, the book of Revelation was written by the Apostle John. Somewhere around 95 AD on the island of Patmos, as he was a prisoner there for preaching the word in the Roman Empire. And as we go through this book, we're going to see that, first of all, you have to understand that it is the last book of the Bible. So we're kind of slipping in like in a movie and watching the final scenes. So let's remember that we've got an entire history behind this book, but it's important to note that this book is given to us to let us know how this whole scenario is going to end. And just as I've said before, it's important to realize that this entire scenario, if you want to put into layman's terms, it's kind of like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that we used to put together on our dining room tables. And the main thing that we needed was obviously the picture on the box cover, so we knew what we were looking at, and it helped us find the right colors to go in the right areas and where generally things fit in. So I think it's important that we get that picture as we look at this final book of the Bible, because the big picture is where this all fits in towards the end, and everything that we go through and see and read through is something that is relevant earlier in the story. So we're going to go through the book, but keep in mind that there are three people groups on the earth. There are the Jews, there are the Gentiles, and there is the nation of Israel. And they are all specifically laid out in the Bible. They have their own time frames, where they started, where they're going to end. And this book that we're going to read is the culmination of those three groups, two of which are going to go through great catastrophic challenges, as we're going to read, and the third is the church, which will be taken away from that time of tribulation at the end. So what I wanted to do, I'm just going to read out of my Bible. It's the New King James Version, and I'm just going to read the first verse, and we're going to comment on that. The book reads, "The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto the servant John." Okay, so that's the first verse, and it is, believe it or not, it's chock full of information. First of all, the revelation is of Jesus, but it was given to him by God. For what reason? To show his servants things which must shortly come to pass. Let me stop right there. First of all, whatever's written in here must come to pass. It's not maybe. It's not maybe we could pray it away. It's not maybe we can vote it away. It's not any of those things. What we're going to read must come to pass, okay? And note that it was sent and signified. Okay, so the word signified means render into signs. So let's understand that it was, this is 95 AD, and John, as we're going to read in the next few verses, he saw this. So what did he see? He was looking at the age we're living in for the most part. He was looking at helicopters and computers and cell phones and nuclear bombs and tanks and ships that were made out of metal with guns on them, and things flying through the air at supersonic speeds, and all these different things that he had no idea what they were. So what has he done? He's rendered it into signs. So what we're going to read through is John rendering into signs what he saw. So it's important to take that into consideration as we read through this. Okay, so that was the first verse. So let's read through the second verse. "Who bore witness of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ, and to all things that he saw." So he saw these things. Okay, I know that's a challenge for some people to understand. Well, was it a dream? Was it a vision? From what I'm reading here, understand God is in eternity. Eternity is not a lot of time. Eternity is there is no time. God looks at the entire time frame. God creates time frames. So this frame of time that he has created for these three groups, he is looking at, and he can do whatever he needs to do. Remember when Jesus was on the mountain, Satan showed him all the kingdoms of the earth and offered him to rule over them. So how could he do that? If you're in a place of eternity where you can see these things, it's possible. It's also noteworthy that you can take someone out of this eternity and place them anywhere else on this time frame if you are the Almighty. So I believe John has done that, and he saw these things. Okay, verse 3. This is an important one. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep these things which are written in it, for the time is at hand. Okay, so this is going to bear out as we read through further. First of all, let's understand that this is the only book of the Bible that says you're blessed if you read it. Okay, but it says read, hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written in it. So there's an action on our part that needs to take place. But also, let's note that it says in this third verse that the words of this prophecy. Okay, so this book is a prophecy. Let's understand what that means. This book predicts something that will happen. Okay? And as we read through this, and I know it's a challenge for some people, but as we get to chapter 1, verse 19, we're going to see that John is told how to write this book, and he's given the outline to put it into. He is told to write the things which he has seen. That's the first section. Write the things which are. That's the second section. And write the things which shall be after these things. So that's the third section. This book is written in 3 different sections. The things that he has seen is the vision of Jesus that we're going to read through in chapter 1. Okay? The vision of things which are the vision of the churches. Now there are 7 churches laid out. From my reading of this, it says that this is a prophecy. So there are 7 churches laid out, and they line up exactly with the 7 time periods of the church up to the age in which we're living in right now, starting at Ephesus, ending in Laodicea. So these are there's 4 different avenues that you can look at these churches and say, number 1, they were written to the churches that they were addressed to: Ephesus, Smyrna, Philadelphia, all Thyatira, all the churches. They were sent to those churches. But it also says, let him in each church, it says, let him who has an ear to hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So that means these letters to each church were relevant and should have been passed around to all the churches. So they're relevant to all churches. So it's not just the church, it's all churches. It also says to him who has an ear to hear. That means it's pertinent to you and to me. Anyone who listens to it or hears it should take heed of what the Spirit is saying, is what the letters say. So we're talking about right there, you have 3 different avenues that this information should go through. First of all, the church of that day. Second of all churches of all days. And third of all people that hear it. Now, the fourth one is the prophecy, the prophetic aspect of it, which is a time, which are they show us the time periods that the church goes through until the end. Why do I think that? Well, first of all, you have to look at the churches. Number 1, why were these 7 selected? There were much more influential churches in that day. There was a church at Jerusalem that's not addressed. There was a church at Antioch that was not addressed. There was a lot of churches in that day that were major places that the church had set up a local assembly in that area. And they were much bigger than these that were addressed. Why these 7? As we go through this, you're going to see that these 7 churches, if they were in any other order, would not make sense as far as the prophetic aspect of it. But as we are going to see, they line up exactly with the 7 time frames for the church. As I'm saying this because verse 3 says that this book is a prophecy. So that's important to note. So we're going to get into this deeper. I wanted to make this introduction so that when we get into reading through the 3 different parts of this book, that we understand what we're reading, right, and how it applies. Let's remember the jigsaw puzzle. Let's remember, first of all, when you put a jigsaw puzzle together, what did you do? You had the picture. You knew what the big picture was, and then what did you do? You needed the frame. The first pieces you pulled out were the corners, and then you built the entire frame around the outside. You need to know the context of what we're reading and the big picture of what we're looking at. So this book is going to become more and more understandable as we read through it, because there's a lot of local assemblies out there worldwide, especially in the United States, that will not address this book. And it's not as complicated as we would think. If you're willing to read it for the way it was written and to the people that it was written to, and we're going to see the different divisions of the book and how they apply. So this is just a little bit of a teaser of what's coming. And I'm going to go through this book line by line, and we're going to cover what this, all these little things mean and how it really, most importantly, applies to us. Not just us, but us, those that we hang around, our children, our children's children, our co-workers, our family, our friends. This is going to become very important because the times we are living in dictate that we be very wise and understand the times in which we live. I hope this is helpful to you, and we are going to see you again when we come back to the book of Revelation. Thanks for joining me today.